Oh, all right. So I completely screwed everything up. Again, this is only episode 67. You would think I'd be a professional at this point, but we were having technical difficulties backstage, and I thought it was all on Tim, and it was 1000% on me because I'm kind of mentally deficient. I've been told that I need to use the word mentally deficient because the other word that starts with an R will get me canceled. So I'm not doing that anymore. But it remains the same. I am mentally deficient. Okay. So anyway, I have waited 4 years for this interview. This is one of the most incredible humans I've ever met in my entire life. I am so excited for this episode. It's uh, I in the theme of Sean Ryan or Joe Rogan, who I will never be. I am so excited for this episode. He's been a dear friend of mine for over 10 years. Got to be close to 15 years, if not longer. I can't believe that because when I met him, he was just a kid, and now here we are, all these years later, and he's probably going to be the one, not only the best interview I've ever done, but two, like the greatest human I'll ever interview. So I really want to get started on this. I want to move this along as quickly as possible because again, I don't want to do him a disservice by leaving him backstage too long. But it's always very important that we do the mental floss here on Curmudgeons. And I'm wearing this hat because he is a Marine. I don't feel like I am. What is the word I'm looking for? It's when you steal honor for pretending to be something that you're not. My dad was a Marine. My brother's a Marine. Tim is a Marine, and quite frankly, I am honored to wear this hat in their honor. So let's get the mental floss started. Again, I picked this one out specifically because of who our guest is tonight. Daryl, Humberto, Rick Smith, Corey. Always so great to see you guys. Let's see who else. I don't want to miss anybody. Breeze. We're going to wait for a few more minutes to get some people to come in here. But again, Mary, good to see you. I fanboyed out on Tracy Beans a few weeks ago, and of course, my dad was a guest, 2 weeks ago when we got back from SEMA. But to be honest, I don't think there's ever going to be anyone that is more absolutely incredible than Tim Donley. What an absolute what an absolute honor it is to have him on my show. We didn't get a chance to talk backstage very much back because we were having my audio difficulties. My mic wasn't on, and it made it sound like Tim wasn't having success with his audio, but it was 100% on me. I thought that again, if you guys have watched that episode where I ate the hot wings, you know that I am not very technically savvy. So I thought my mic was hot and it wasn't, just like when I thought my mic was cold and it was hot. Anyway, thanks, Corey. Yeah, my dad was epic, and I'd love to have him on when we weren't up for 40 hours and exhausted. He was so mad. He was so mad that we were doing a live show after all we had been through. He just wanted to go to bed. But I definitely want to have him on again. And we can talk about that. So anyway, without further ado, let's do the mental floss and then get Tim out here because I need him to just tell his story. It is epic and it needs to be told. And I love him. We talk often about a brother from another mother. Well, this guy, he is truly a brother from another mother. I love this guy. But anyway, let's do the mental floss and then get this candle lit. Share screen, Instagram, share. Let's go.
But without those obstacles, no success is possible. Make the decision that you can be tired, you can be worn out, but nothing is ever going to stop you. Give it your best shot. It's the basis of self-esteem. You're a brave person, what they call the 4 o'clock in the morning courage. Wait when things go completely to pieces, when things are the worst, when your very best deal falls apart and your rent is late and you're tired and you're sick and everybody is mad at you and your car doesn't work. Then it's the person that picks themselves up and says, nothing is going to stop me. You know, the best quality in the world that you can develop is to develop the quality of being unstoppable. Develop the quality of being unstoppable. Say in yourself that no matter what life throws at me, it'll never stop me. No matter how rough it gets, I will never quit. And nothing will ever stop me. And believe me, if you decide to go for the goal in your life, you're going to get knocked down over and over and over and over again. But without those obstacles, no success is possible. Make the decision that you can be tired, you can be worn out, but nothing is ever going to stop you. Give it your best shot. It's the basis of self-esteem. You're a brave person.
Okay. If that mental floss does not embody our guest that's about to step on stage, success isn't about avoiding problems. It's about pushing through them. Every obstacle is a lesson that makes you stronger, wiser, and closer to your goals. Keep going. Future self will thank you. That's not just a quote, it's lived. Tonight, we are sitting down with a man who didn't just read those words, he's bled them. A kid who survived a kidnapping attempt in the Middle East, a Marine who survived an IED that should have ended him, a warrior who survived the darkness and that tries to claim 22 veterans a day. And then he picked up a guitar and turned pain into purpose. His name is Tim Donley. He is the lead singer of The Resilient. He is my brother. This is an interview that it's a conversation 10 years plus in the making. Get ready because tonight we're going deep. Hello, sir.
What's up, brother?
How are you?
I'm doing pretty great.
You look pretty great.
Thanks,
Holy
man. You
heck,
too.
man. Look at you.
I'm digging the beard, dude.
Yeah,
It's
right. Like
fine.
this is definitely. It's like first of all, it's like 5 shades whiter than it was before you ever met me. But I think it was like closer to here when you met me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
digging it, man.
Thanks, sir.
Not to mention the hat.
I salute you because of this hat. So I was gonna wear this hat, which is the Gary Sinise Foundation hat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I believe that your house was built from tunnels to towers.
That's correct.
So I didn't want to diminish that aspect of it because I mean,
not at all.
tunnels to tower is absolutely another phenomenal wounded warrior supporter.
Yeah, they were partnered for a fair bit of time, and then now he's got his own program, and he actually built Mark's house, my brother's house, brother-in-law's house. So,
Okay.
Helped him with all that, but
we're definitely going to get into your brother-in-law as well. Like, dude, we have so much stuff to talk about. I'm so excited to see you. It's been way too long since I've seen you. Not entirely my fault because I mean, we are talking about a world tour that you've recently come back from.
that's overstating it a little bit.
I disagree. You're one of the greatest humans I've ever met. But we need to, if you don't mind, I would love for everybody to hear your origin story. So if you would indulge me, we met, I think I did the math and I want to say like 2013, because I believe my brother's injury was 2012, but he hadn't gone to London yet, which was 2014. So you and I met while he was recovering. I want to say in 2013.
Yeah, I do believe you're right. It was after, because it was we met after I had done that first show with Roger and all that.
Yeah, for real.
First, like that was November of 12, and so it was like I want to say like the spring or something of 13
Yeah.
that you and I met.
How did you meet my brother down there?
Um, I would swing by when new guys were, because they'd bring new guys in every week from Landstuhl, Germany. That was kind of the stopover point from Afghanistan and
Yep.
from all over the place, really. But yeah, so they would bring different guys in, and he was up on the fourth floor, just down the hall from, yeah, from where I had been for like a long time, and
Yeah.
I was in and out for surgeries while he was there, even so. Those early days are kind of
Blur.
it's a
Yeah.
bit of a mishmash, really.
Sure. Yeah, nothing like pain medication to make the memory a little fuzzy.
Right. Yeah, that and the a good traumatic brain injury and all that. Yeah, he was just down the hall. I had checked out of. Um, I had been discharged the first time from the hospital, and I want to say that was what, after 4 months or something like that, five
Something like that.
months.
Yeah.
And because he got injured in the summer, I think, and then
I can't remember. I think it was April. He got hit in April.
okay, yeah. So, but yeah, so I was coming back in to see like new guys who were, kind of pop in, just say hi, and like gets better,
So Eric had got relocated to what was the building that you guys were all in? The
62
building 62.
Yeah.
And I would come down on the weekends to relieve Melissa of basically responsibilities for Eric, and give her a chance to go shopping and go home and take a shower and all that stuff. And Eric was just like, you got to meet this guy Tim, and he took me to see you in your room in building 62. And you and we like immediately bonded. But I remember
couple of nerds.
Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time novel series is what really solidified you and me, becoming like fast friends.
Yes, sir.
By the way, that book it gets tough. It gets tough towards the end. I mean, it was 13 novels that needed to be maybe 10.
That was well, and especially with kind of, where he died and left off with Brandon Sanderson, and it was just a whole pickle. But I mean, personally, I think admirably done.
Sure, 100%. It's still the J.R.R. Tolkien of our generation, for sure,
right.
without a doubt.
I actually just found the copies that I had at Walter Reed there.
Oh wow!
And I've gotten other ones since, and these were just kind of sitting in a box. But I found them just yesterday, and I was like, oh man, that takes me back.
I put them on audiobooks, and so since I have a 40-minute commute to work every morning and home every day, that I just started listening to them all over again. And I think I'm up to the end. I think I'm in book 13 right now. But
oh, nice. Yep. Yep. It gets to be a bit of a slog at times.
It does. I think again, I don't want to focus on this very often, but very much. But he includes a lot of stuff that isn't really necessary. Like there's tertiary characters that he goes in depth in that don't really add to the story, and you're just kind of like, can we just get through this, please? Anyway, everybody that's showing up and everybody that's going to listen to this podcast throughout their week, they really want to hear your story. They don't want to listen to me ramble. If you don't mind indulging me, we like to do, a Batman origin story on this show. And so your origin story has fascinated me for over a decade. Can would you indulge me and tell me about, like how you grew up with your missionary parents and like some of those experiences, because it is so wild.
Well, where to start? I guess I was born. But my parents were, they had moved overseas in 1990. And my dad was a concrete contractor, and my mom was, doing like nursing stuff and some teaching English and that sort of thing. And yeah, so that was, right around the Gulf War, right around a lot of craziness in the region. And so my parents called me their Gulf War baby. But so I was born there in Amman, Jordan, and in 91. And yeah, it was pretty solitary. We grew up, we were the only, American family, foreign family in the area that we didn't really, after a while we moved to another city, Idrid, and there's a Canadian family who lived partway across the city. And, but besides that, it was, our lives were in Arabic. We went to an Arab school. And it was, it's one of those things where looking back at it is where that's where kind of the oddities stand out,
Yeah.
It's just one of those, like, my brother and I were the only, white kids at school. Everybody else is, well, from Jordan or from the surrounding countries, and
Okay.
Parents working there. Or
so you went through like like a public school where there was mixed races, or you weren't privately taught?
Well, so it wasn't, public school isn't what you would refer to it as. Like, it's not the same thing as here in the States. You basically have a series of what are basically private schools, and that, or at least when I was a kid, there, so then you kind of just picked which school to go to. And so the school my parents had chosen was a Greek Orthodox school.
Okay.
And basically, the city we were living in has a decent, but small, but they have a decent Greek Orthodox or Roman Catholic background population. And
is that common in Jordan?
Not terribly. I mean,
okay.
the percentage of Christians is low. I want to say, it's less than 5%,
It's predominantly Muslim.
Yes. And so most of the kids, even though it's a school that is, a Greek Orthodox Roman Catholic school, it's most of the students are still Muslim, and
Okay.
yeah, but it's
So would you
considered
say
to
that
be kind of a better school in some ways because, you know, where some other schools don't, you know, at this school they taught English twice, you know, you had 2 classes of English a week and 2 classes of French.
Oh yeah.
And,
Wow.
yeah, so it was kind of, yeah, for it was, considered a good education and a good spot for the area. But so, but despite that, you know, most of the kids going there are still Muslim. But you know, as a kid, you're kind of like, I mean, I started going kindergarten there, you know, so, and they're like, oh, so like, which are you? And I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm in kindergarten, bro.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was just one of those. I don't know. I never saw myself as any different, you know, like than the other kids going to the school. I grew up speaking Arabic. I grew up,
That's
um,
wild. So
you know,
basically 3 languages now. By kindergarten, you got 3 languages going on.
well, and that's where they start, you know. I mean, and it's like for the other stuff, it's, you know, numbers, colors, ABCs kind of thing. But in English and Arabic, but yeah, then as you go, it's sort of like I don't know, it's sort of like junior high Spanish after,
Okay.
like after for a lot of the kids, and that's how we sort of treat it because for the English class, it was all the like um, British English spelling, and
Now, because you were American slash English speaking slash Christian, is that what kind of painted a target on your back? And if you does that tie into the near kidnapping story that you tell me?
well, that was much later. You know, that was in high school, and
Well, how
but
you did you grow up overseas?
yeah, so born there, kindergarten through what was it, 5th grade over there, and then homeschooled for 6th grade, and then 7th and 8th grade was public school here in the States, which was rough. Like out of all of the
Wow.
years to go to public school in the States, 7th and 8th grade, terrible life choice. But
So that's
and then
you're
high school.
12 and 13 in the States.
Yep, and then, yeah, and then high school was back over in Jordan, um, and, then once I graduated, I, you know, came back to the States, but, yeah, so it was most of my years, my childhood years were spent over there. We would come back to the States, you know, for a summer or for, um, you know, different little chunks of time, and, you know, it's funny, like, uh just that back and forth, you know? I think the first time we flew back to the States, I was like 2 and a half or something, you know?
Okay.
And we were back for like 3 months or 6 months or something like that. And then we were back over in Jordan for like 3 or 4 more years. But yeah, just the back and forth and the moving around and stuff, it just kinda more than, you know, being in kindergarten and 1st grade and, you know, like, I mean, kids are kids, right? You know, they're like, "Oh, like, why are you so," you know, like, "What's with your hair?" I was, you know, a little lighter then, you know, I was a little strawberry blonde kinda,
Yeah.
and,
Prime time for human trafficking, I might add.
right? looking back, I cannot believe we never got snatched and, just disappeared. But, especially with, I mean, we'll get there, but, with everything Kelly's had going on, we've been talking more and more about that. And it's like, yeah, just between, the level of just not really fitting was kind of the status quo for us. But it was like, we don't really fit, but you find a way to, just sort of make friends and make nice and have a life. And then, it's like, I gotta move on in a couple of years. That's what happens. But
Right.
it was definitely, I mean, there were times where we were like, the dramatic, mom, dad, I hate you. How dare you make us move again? Like,
Sure.
I just want to have friends, like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was growing up as a military kid. Every
Mhm.
2 years we moved somewhere else, and I remember saying goodbye to best friends. Every 2 years I'm saying goodbye to people, and by the fourth time that you do it, and they're just like, "Oh, we'll keep in touch and we'll continue to be friends," and you in the back of your head you're like, "No, we won't. We're
Yep.
not going to. We're going to be best friends for another 6 months tops, and then we're both moving on in different directions."
Oh yeah. Well, and there were, and it gives you that ability to like create those bonds,
Sure.
which is a good thing. Like everybody needs that. But in terms of the, like, especially as a kid, you get this feeling sort of that like, oh, is everybody, or is everybody just sort of like temporary?
Hmm.
And
Sure.
so then being able to hold on to different friends from over the years, um, that was, that's been one of the real blessings. Because it's one of those things where it's like, like, I mean, for example, you and I,
100%. I was just
like,
going to say that.
we hung out all the time, like as much as we could, and then life happened, and uh,
Yeah, you had a
it's been a little
trajectory and
bit.
I had a trajectory, but yet throughout, the last 13 years, we've been able to maintain this this
Mhm.
this brotherhood, this fellowship. Like it's even like we could go 5 years without talking to each other, but then the moment that we reconnect, it's just like, like this brotherhood that never ended to begin with.
Yep, it's you pick right back up with some people, and
100%.
it's one of those things where, yeah, it's just worth holding on to because it's one of those like beautiful gifts of life. You don't, yeah, and realizing that it's like, okay, like it doesn't make me a terrible person because we don't, like talk every week or
Yeah.
something, like, because there were times where it was like, oh man, like I haven't reached out to him and it's been like a month, and then I'd like hit you up and we'd like send like 3 texts back and forth, and then it'd be like another little bit. But nah man, it's one of those, it really is one of those great pleasures when you just have a friend that you can just pick right back up.
Yeah.
And
And no apologies needed. It's just we both know exactly what it is. It's
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
and I think that you can only get that from your upbringing and my upbringing. That's it's just the
My
way that it is.
A gunner from the Marines, Johnson, he and I are the same way. It's like, actually he and I are a little worse than you and I are.
Is that possible? Oh, I'm the
It's
worst friend
great.
to you. It's
Uh,
crazy.
uh, Ron Swanson,
Yep.
from Parks and Rec, when he's talking about
Yeah, we both never talked.
he's like, I had a guy worked
I know
next
exactly
to
what
me
you're
for
about to
3
say.
years.
Sometimes we still never talk.
Yeah,
He's the best friend
my
I ever
best
had.
friend. We still never talk sometimes, and
We
we'll
still never
literally
talk.
just send each other that video occasionally, and it's like no words necessary, and then we'll like pick up the phone, chat for a half hour, and it's like, all right, talk to you later, down the line a bit. But no, it's
So
it was one of those things where, yeah, we bounced around so much that, and luckily I had, I'm one of 4 boys, so had the 3 brothers to kind of, you fight and stuff, but like you always band together, and we were
yeah.
always like best buddies growing up, and so one of the blessings of it was had this really awesome strong relationship with my family, and really that support, looking out for each other in different messy situations, and because yeah, we were in school together, it was just us, no parents around to
So when did, as far as your schooling is concerned, growing up, through high school, when did your parents basically come back stateside, and how did you finish up? Did you finish up high school abroad, or did you finish up high school here in the States?
No, so for me, my older brother got a couple years of high school here in the States while I was in junior high.
Okay.
And then we went back over, and so 9th through 12th was over in Jordan for me.
Oh wow. Is that when the attempt of where you almost got nabbed?
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, at that point, I was, well, you know how it is. You feel very independent.
Mhm.
I was a rebellious kid, and so there were times I'd go looking for trouble, or just um, just I was a prankster and a troublemaker, and I mean, it wasn't like
You're in a safe space.
bad.
Tell us the story. Everybody wants to hear this story. Be as rebellious as you want to be. This is
Well, I
my
mean,
favorite story. I'm down at Walter Reed. I'm dealing with my brother. I literally
oh,
impacted him. And then I come and visit you, and you tell me these stories, and I'm just like, this is the great yum 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 yum. This is the greatest stories I've ever heard. So come on, Tim, bring the sauce.
yeah. Well, so one of the things when we were in high school, so in Jordan, you have Fridays off, right?
I didn't know that. For why?
Because it's like for lack of better words, it's like the Muslim Sunday.
Okay.
But so Fridays are off, and so you go into school. We'd go to school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, have Friday off, and we'd go to school Saturday,
Okay.
and then have Sunday off. So that sucks. And pretty quickly it turned into, so that was every other week. You'd have Friday off, go back to school Saturday, Sunday off, and then the next weekend you'd have a 3-day weekend.
Oh,
So that like made it worth it,
sure.
a little bit. Because yeah, Saturdays in school just feel wrong.
Weird.
Like that's just horrible.
Right? When do you watch the cartoons? Never. Wait, what?
just the worst. But and so we went to school. Where we were going to school was in the capital city in Amman, and we lived in this little town, Mafraq, out.
Bless
That's
you.
right out northwest towards the border of Iraq and Syria. And literally, El Mafraq, the name of the town. Sorry, I got distracted by the comments.
I'm sure there's a million going to be inside jokes.
But so Al Mafraq, the name of the town is the crossroads, and so it's literally where the one road out into the desert splits, and there's a sign that says Syria that way, Iraq that way, and so it was about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive ish to get to school. So
Wait, say that again.
hour and a half to 2 hours to get
To
to
drive
school.
to school? Holy
That's
mother.
That's if there's not bad traffic, in which case it's more like 3.
Good God.
And so
What is
you're
bad
leaving,
traffic? Is it like just a whole bunch of camels in the way, or
I mean, it could be a flock of goats or sheep or camels, or it could be
holy
a
moly,
bombed out bus.
a bombed out bus.
It could
How
be,
does this shape you as a kid, like growing up around this stuff where this is the norm? What does that do to you as an adolescent?
well, it's a little surreal, but like you're a little on edge, all the time. And I mean, I sympathize in terms of like with the whole stress with school shootings and stuff. Because I mean, like for us, we get called, the night before or sometimes the morning of on the way to school, and it's like, oh, there's a bomb threat, or there's a terrorist threat right near, just near the school or on the route into town, or that sort of thing. And so, yeah, we got more like terrorist threat and bomb threat days than we did snow days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it is the desert after all, but yeah, I mean, the one time we're on our way, and other side of the highway, there's just this bus just just absolute conflagration, flames, massive flames,
Wow.
whole bus, and it's on the other side. And there's it's a desert highway, so there's a big wide median gap between them.
Yeah.
And even through we're in like our little van, and through the glass you could feel the heat.
Wow. I can't imagine what that would do to an adolescent psyche. So when is the time period that you come back stateside? Like almost, for lack of a better term, permanently. Does Tim come back stateside?
17 when I graduated high school. So because of the cutoff dates there in Jordan, I got put in school a year early.
What does that mean, cutoff dates in Jordan?
So depending on when you're born in the year, then they're like, oh, then, if during the year of 91, if you were born, before this date, then, you're in this year. But if you're born after this date, then.
Okay.
So basically ended up being, I started my senior year when I was 16, turned 17 during my senior year, graduated. We came back to the States. We were back for the summer, but that was kind of where it was like me coming back to the States, sort of.
And then
permanent
when did you choose to join the Marine Corps, and what was that like? Explain that process to me. Like what motivated you to, first of all, why the Marine Corps, and then second of all, why infantry in the Marine Corps?
Yeah. So, growing up, we, would spend time at the embassy different times and, got to know some of the Marines there. When I was in high school, we actually played, there weren't enough Marines at the, at the embassy. There's in Jordan, it's small enough that there aren't enough Marines stationed there to make a full softball team. So my older brother Phil, and my dad and I, we played on their softball team for a couple of years. What was that? Yeah, I guess my junior and my senior year in high school, and yeah, it was just one of those things where I got to know them, got to like them, got to respect them, but it was just one of those things where it's known, like, if you want to end up in the shit, you join the Marines.
Yeah.
And just, they're underfunded and overused, and the the mad bulldog of the military that they,
For sure.
well,
I
and it's
joined
kinda like one of
the
those.
army. I joined
Mhm.
the army specifically to piss my dad off. Like, so I had gotten kicked out of college the second time, for academic suspension, and then finally academic, expulsion, because I just wasn't a performer as far as, when my dad came to pick me up at college, the resident director of the school was just like, your son sucks the marrow out of life. He just doesn't know how to find his way into a classroom. And
Mhm.
so, it's a 13-hour drive back from, Lookout Mountain, Georgia, to my parents' house, and that wasn't pleasant at all. And I remember sitting in I was sitting in the barber's chair, and I looked out across the street, and there was the Armed Forces Recruitment Center. And, I walked past, all of them, and went right to the army because I knew that would piss my dad off the most. And, I really wasn't really quite right in the head. And I said to him, I said to the recruiter, I said to him, "What is the shortest life expectancy in the army?" And he goes, "Combat engineer has a life expectancy of 36 seconds in active combat." And I was like, "That's what I want. I want that." And he was just like, "Okay, do me a favor, kid, and get out. And then, bring me your driver's license, your birth certificate, your high school diploma." There was like, I forget what it was. "You bring me all
Mhm.
these things, and you come back, and I'll consider you being serious." And I was like, "Okay." And I drove back to my parents' house, and I grabbed all of that stuff, and then I drove right back to the recruitment center like 45 minutes later. And I was like, "Here's all my stuff." And he was just like, "Dude, I don't know what's wrong with you, but I mean, oh, okay." And then he looked at my ASAP scores, and I scored a 91 out of 99. And he was like, "Bud, 91s aren't combat engineers. 91s are intelligence." And I was just like, "I don't care. I want combat engineer. I want combat engineer." And he was like, "Okay, dude, I'll give you combat engineer." It's like, so that was my motivation, was just a big F you to my dad. And might I say, I was right, because when he did find out that I joined the army as a combat engineer, he put me through two walls. I mean, he grabbed me by my shoulders and just drove me through a wall, and then picked me up again, and then drove me through another wall. So I can tell you, like, I know what my
How he shows
motivation is.
fatherly concern.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And then, so my question to you is like, what made you choose the Marine Corps other than the fact that you grew up your entire life around these guys?
Yeah. Well, I gotta say it was something my parents really did not like, right? Which I I mean, I've always had a pretty good relationship with my parents. But I really thought I could use my language skills. I mean, we were right there um, across the border from Iraq during that whole thing. And because I graduated in 2009. Um, and so Fallujah and a whole bunch of stuff was right there, right across the border. But yeah, I thought I could use my upbringing, you know, my ability to speak Arabic, my knowledge of the culture and the people. And I thought I was like, I could join up and where, so when you have local interpreters, because that's what you end up with 99% of the time, there's always this struggle of can we trust them? How much can we trust them? And then it might not even be that they're not trustworthy, but they had a family member get kidnapped, and unless they start feeding us bad intel, they're gonna start getting body parts left on their doorstep.
Jeez.
And so for me, part of it, looking at it, was I can be another Marine. You can have another Marine there on the ground who's saying, this is what this guy just said to us. Having direct contact, direct relations with locals, with local leaders, with points of contact or points of interest. And so often the two cultures clash. They are at natural odds in different ways. And where where one thing, it's like, oh, we're giving them an escort into the compound, right? Might be looked at as, oh, from the moment we set foot on their territory, they're guarding us like we're thieves. Like we need to be watched every moment.
Oh, wow.
And so it's like there's, and, from, when you sit down, it's like, when you're meeting the leaders, take your gloves off, and take your iPro, the dark ballistic glasses off, so they can actually make eye contact with you. They can actually, hand to hand, don't feel like they're, talking to some GI Joe.
Right. Or prison guard or
Yeah.
the warden.
Yes.
Well,
And, sitting down on the ground and like, oh, don't show as you're sitting down, like don't point like the soles of your feet towards them at any point. Like make sure
that's wild. And you wouldn't know that, like as a regular GI/Marine, you wouldn't know those things.
And so for so much of this, it's like, oh, you just insulted him 3 ways walking into his house that you have no idea about. Hey, maybe I could help smooth some of that over. Maybe, the tells for,
Sure. And
the,
do you feel that like basically your upbringing gave you that inside edge or knowledge of what could potentially offend versus not offend? I've been watching a lot of Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown, where he
Mhm.
travels all around the world and he, plunges himself into all of these different cultures. And he usually will have a guide with him that will kind of give him the coaching. But I would
Mhm.
imagine that, 90% of all American forces have zero idea of those kind of, you know,
Yep.
what's
The
the word
ins
I'm
and
looking
outs,
for?
the intricacies
The
of,
intricacies. Thank you.
yeah, the human connective moments where it's an opportunity one way or the other. And, I mean, yeah, I grew up with it, and it was so, like, so much of it is just so, second nature to me.
That's wild.
Um,
And so growing up in in Jordan, how, like, and you made mention earlier in this show that you're sitting right next to all of these other um Arabic countries, Iraq and so on and so forth. Like how, but even between those countries, how different is it? Like,
mhm.
do they have a cultural emphasis on one thing or another that even being part of the Middle East you wouldn't recognize because of your Jordan upbringing?
Mhm. Um, yeah, well, and that crossover is what's so important, because, yeah, all those different countries, they're not just culturally different, um, linguistically, that it's like, "Oh, it's Arabic," but it's different.
Sure,
Some of the
for
words are
sure.
different, some of the way you use those words are different, sometimes it's just completely different phrases, and so depending how somebody even just starts introducing themselves, you can be like, "Oh, are you Egyptian? Are you, would you happen to be Syrian, sir? Or
Yeah, for
Lebanese,
sure.
maybe?"
One of my favorite stories that, personally, I'm sure everybody in the audience has already heard. Like I was trying to solidify a deal with a detailer out in near York, and he was of another national, right? And so after I got divorced from my first wife, there was a girl that I was interested in, and she was very Russian. Her grandmother was Russian, and she was Russian Orthodox, and my barber was Russian, and so I would talk to my barber, and I was like, "Hey, can you help me learn some Russian phrases and language so that I could talk to this girl, and maybe whatever." Um, Long story short, things didn't work out between me and her. But anyway, fast forward years later, I'm meeting with this guy who's got a very heavy, what I thought was Russian dialect. And so I'm trying to secure the account, and I'm talking to the guy, and then I was like, at the end of the meeting, I was just like, Das Vidanya, Conrad's. And he was just like, "Are you Canadian?" And I go, "No." And he goes, "Are you Mexican?" And I go, "No." And he was just like, "But I am not fucking Russian. I am Ukrainian." And I was just like, "Whoa, dude." I was like, and then his brother comes up beside me and he was like, "I get this bullshit all the time. Blah, blah, blah. Everybody's always thinking that I'm Russian. There's this girl down the street. And every time I stop to get gas, and she tries to talk to me in German, and I am not German. I am Ukrainian." And I was just like, "Hey, man, maybe all she was trying to do was trying to find a human connection between the two of you because she just wants, maybe she likes you." And he goes, Maybe I'm fucking German now, huh? Yeah, that sounds great. And I was just like, holy hell, dude. I didn't mean to offend. I was just trying to, it was just, yeah. He was like, are you Canadian? No. Are you Mexican? No. Well, I am not fucking Russian. I am Ukrainian. I was like,
Oh my gosh.
No, so I totally get what you're saying. Oh, we just got demonetized because I just swore like 9 times. But anyway, I completely get what you're saying, where just because you're from Jordan doesn't make you assimilated to all of those other other Middle Eastern countries.
Well, and because of the hospital my parents worked at, and it's a free, specializing chest diseases clinic and hospital, and so you have people coming from all over, and so yeah, you'd get people from Syria, from Iraq, from Saudi, from Yemen and Oman, everywhere. And it was cool, just having that crossover, seeing some of the differences, but like a lot of the similarities. And that's honestly one of my biggest takeaways from my life and the back and forth. It's like, and I remember thinking it as a kid, it's like the only difference between me and, like that kid there, is I just happened to be born to these parents who moved here, and they're born to those parents who are from here. But beyond that, we're pretty much the same.
Okay.
But no, I mean, doesn't matter where you go, there's, kids can be jerks. So it's one of those things where it's like, can't hold on to that too much. And yeah, I was a troublemaker. And so I'd get in trouble a fair bit. And the worst of it was what I'd told you about, where crossed the wrong guys a couple times in this neighborhood, and then me and my buddy are walking through, and all of a sudden, those 2 guys come out from down the street over here, and next thing you know, they got cousins popping out from every which way.
Sure.
It turns out they got a lot of cousins who live around there.
I'm sure.
And yeah, they beat my ass pretty good for, I don't know. It was a while. It was I don't know, 6 of them, I think.
Really?
And yeah, at that point, like one of them got a hold of me good, and at that point, there's no going anywhere. My buddy managed to get away, but I just got stomped pretty good.
Just beaten.
Yeah, and after a while, like, yeah, you end up going down, and then you just end up getting kicked a bunch, and
sure.
But yeah, so then they were like, oh, I'm like laying there, pretty out of it, and they're talking about like, oh, so what, like, what do we do with him, and they're like, oh, the one guy was like, let's take him into the house, and then we can tell the cops he broke into the house, and then we were just defending ourselves. And it was like, yeah, but what else is gonna happen? And so then they start, they start trying to take me towards the house, and I just started absolutely losing my shit. Just, like
that's wild.
like a, you know, just animal, like just where you go a little crazy, and
Sure.
you know, because there's, I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, I mean, at this
And
point, you know that there's like it's either it's all or nothing. Like this is the end of me if I don't
well,
completely.
yeah, and I'm like, yeah, how much more is going to happen in the house, and you know, and just a whole bunch of paths there, you know, didn't want to go down, and but yeah, so started just freaking out, and then they decided that that wasn't, and I was saying something, but at that point I don't know what I was saying, you know, but
Yeah,
they decided it wasn't worth it, and so they tossed me in the back of a car, which I was like, oh shit, they're trying to take me somewhere, and so then I was trying to fight that, but they ended up getting me in the back seat of the car, and they drove around for a little bit talking about like what to do, and then they ended up taking me to like a little police station, like not a police station, but like a police like hut thing where it's like, because it's like military and police, you know, kind of thing. Um, but and at this point they'd taken, you know, everything I had on me, you know,
sure.
um, and which included um, like a little like razor blade pocket knife thing. And so then they're telling the cops that I broke into their house and I tried to use the knife on them, and like my IDs and
I
all
used my pocket knife
my
against 6 guys.
right. And they heroically subdued me, and yeah, yeah, I don't know how it ended up, you know, working out that well for me. I don't know if the cops, so basically the cops took me, initially cuffed, like they cuffed me and tossed me in the back of the car, and you know, and I'm just sitting back there like bleeding on the seat and like swelling up, and concussed pretty good. And I was like, I'm just gonna take a little nap. And I just like passed out in the back seat for a little while, and then wake up to this cop. He's like, okay, we're gonna take you over to the station, and do you have somebody that we can call? And so I gave him like my buddy's dad's number, and so yeah, they took me down the station and tossed me in a cell for a bit, and then my buddy's dad came down, and I don't know if they could tell the dudes were just full of crap or what, but you know, they basically ended up like half apologizing, and they're like, we're not pressing any charges or anything. Like, you know, they were just kind of like, just
Dude, that is
go
100%
home and be
the grace
okay,
of God.
sort of.
That is 100% the grace of God. Holy hell.
That's literally, to this day, that's the only thing I can imagine, because it's like, I don't know how, I don't know what or why, but like, you know, and they asked me, you know, then they like, you know, asked me what
Dude, once you
happened,
got
and
loaded into a car, like
so on
anything
and so
you
on,
could have been killed and then dumped into an alley. And, you
right?
know, as an American kid, no one would have said anything at all, ever.
And it would have just been like, oh, he, you know, they would have just like, whether it was staged some shit or, you know, like whatever. It was like they're discussing all this different stuff. It's like, I don't want to be
Holy
part of
moly.
this. But no, God's been very good to me over the years, and
That's wild.
I don't know if you could tell by the fact that we're, you know, hanging out and having
Here
this
we are. Yeah.
conversation, but
Okay,
he's
so let's advance the football.
Yeah.
Your calling is to the Marine Corps because of the relationships that you formed, during your adolescence.
And I would say it was like all of those pieces, and I felt like that's where God was calling me.
So it was a calling to go to the Marine Corps, like you.
Yeah,
That's
and
fantastic.
specifically to the infantry.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you about that. Why infantry?
Because I was like, I can be somebody on the. I was like, I don't know why, but like, I wanted to do something that mattered, and those choices that the stakes that are involved at that point, when it's life and death and that kind of thing, it was like, how much more significant does it get? And that may be, looking at that, it might be, oh, that's a small thing or in a small way, but one life, that's all it takes. One grain of rice tips the balance.
Yeah,
I love
wow,
that.
that's
Mulan's a
beautiful.
great movie. I
That's
gotta
beautiful.
rewatch it sometime. But and yeah, so my recruiter was a little pissed at me because my brother and I talked my older brother into sign up with me because he he didn't really know what he wanted to do at the time. I was like, dude, we could go to boot camp together and
So you're a BF.
Hmm?
You're a BF. I was a BF. Buddy effer.
Oh.
I got my brother to join the Army when I joined the Army, and I got an instant promotion out of it. And they
It's been a minute since I've heard that one.
They label you a buddy effer when you get somebody suckered into doing what you're doing.
You want to know the best part? We didn't even get the promotion from joining up together.
Oh, I totally did. I was
Because
E2 immediately.
Our recruiter had us put him as our reference rather than put each other.
Oh, you guys totally screwed yourselves.
So we both speak Arabic at
Yeah.
the time, right? We both speak Arabic. Phil scored a 91 on the ASVAB. I scored a 96.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude.
And we're both like, we want infantry. He's like, but I have these cybersecurity contracts all prepared. And it was like, infantry.
Oh my, we are so mentally deficient. Yep. I'm not allowed to say the R word because I got screamed at last time for using the R word. But we are mentally, you and I both are mentally deficient because we could have had such a different trajectory should we had just. You had a 96 and I had a 91.
Well, my mother says I'm special.
Yeah, we definitely are. Okay, so if we can, we're an hour into this program, little hour 10 into this program. The IED blast. Take us there. My son was, let's see here. I met you in 2013. And then shortly thereafter, you came to visit me here in New Jersey. You just moved to Central PA.
That was in 14
that was in 14. So Jacob would have been 10 years old.
Yep.
And you told him this story, and you left such an impression on a 10-year-old boy. This story that you're about to tell about the whole thing, leading, the events leading up to the incident and the events leading after the incident. You are, to this day, he's now 21 years old. You're one of his heroes. and I would be very appreciative if you could share that story with this audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So first deployment, um, I yeah, we deployed in early January of 2012, and 30 days into our deployment is when I got hit. Um, yeah. So it was a 3-day op. Uh, Basically, we gathered up in a couple of Ospreys and went in and landed and deployed, took over a compound as a safe point, and then we were looking for IED and drug labs and weapons caches. And we had really good intel that there was a bunch of that. And it was a pretty nasty area. As soon as we landed, it was between these two villages, and as soon as we landed, all the women and children just started evacuating and like leaving with, donkeys and goats and all their, like, what they can carry and stuff. And what that means is, oh, we're getting the women and children out to safety, and all the men are sticking around to, well, have a big fight. And yeah, so those 3 days were pretty interesting. It was the third day, and that's when I got hit. It was probably 4 hours before evac. But 4 hours before we were going to get picked up and taken back. So we were out on a patrol, and there's a piece of equipment. Ooh, I'm trying to remember the code for it, the proper designation, but codename Thor, like the god of thunder. And it's basically this big ass backpack that is generating a signal. It's a signal jammer, and really high powered one. So you got this big antenna then coming up off your shoulder about 4 feet. And, the guys would talk about like, if you get stuck carrying the Thor too often, guys would go bald on that side of their head. But so this thing clearly, takes a lot of energy, a lot of power. And basically the batteries for it got left on we didn't have sufficient battery power to get through the day. And this thing stands out like a sore thumb when you're carrying it. You look like you're a radio man. And yeah, so we didn't want to take it, but orders came down. Nope, got to take it, even though it's going to die quick. And the best part about it, when this thing dies, it gives off this delightfully shrill beep repeatedly until you get the little thing to make it stop. And of course, it's a tiny little, button you got to find. And so we sat out on patrol, 04:30, something like that. 04. It was early. It was before dawn, and so we go out. And there was, from the previous patrol days, the routes that the patrols had taken, obviously marked. And I guess for our patrol, whether it wasn't noticed or it just was like, oh, it'll be fine or whatever, but there's overlap. And that's always the points where it's, hairiest, because they're like, oh, they've been here before and this is where they rested and maybe they'll come back. And so, so we go out, and next thing you know, what is it? I mean, it was going to be an 8-hour patrol, I think. And next thing you know, this thing's shrieking in the dark, loud. And it's like, well,
here we are.
Terrible feeling. And as soon as you turn it off, then it's just perfect quiet again. Your ears are ringing so hard. It's like so quiet. And everybody's just holding their breath, listening, waiting for a gunshot, waiting for something. And at this point, you've got an 80 pound paperweight that you're carrying around,
Yeah.
But so we continue on, and you're hearing stuff in the distance. These 3 days, it had been pretty kinetic. We'd been getting mortars, we'd been getting sniper fire, and patrols getting ambushed. And it's just very edgy. But so we're coming down this wall, and I'm gonna come down to the end of the wall and around the corner to the left. And as we're coming around, the corner, there's this guy peeking at us from over a wall across the way. Now I'm pretty much dead center in this see, a vibration plate, that would just make way too much sense. You should get into military patents, I think.
Military doesn't do sense. Right? That's not their specialty. We don't do common sense here.
But
U.S. military is, if we have more men, we can overcome any obstacle through manpower.
What if we add more boom?
Sorry.
But no, it's hilarious though. It's so true. It's like when people are like, "Oh, it's military grade." Civilians, they're like, "This is military grade," and military guys are like, "Oh no, it's military grade." It's like, oh, so they were the ones who bid least for the contract. Oh, good. Oh, That's not everything, but it's, you know, generally what the infantry gets, especially the. But
If you don't mind finishing that story,
yeah,
the way that you told me the story when we first hung out, or basically tell the story. I'm sorry.
yeah. So we're coming down around this wall, and there's a dude peeking at us from over top of this wall across the way, and he had something in his hand. You know, he was holding on to something, and I thought it was a grenade initially, and call contact, and I go to lift up on him and, you know, get a beat on him.
That's the
And
story.
he turns out he was holding the trigger.
That motion where you said you were like, I was just there and I was
Yeah.
just picking up on him.
And well, here you go. So, and it's funny. People are like, oh, you know, because my right arm is chewed up. They're like, oh, was the blast on your right side, or was, you know, the IED, like, it was on my left side, buried in the base of that wall. And so, good news and bad news, they had carved out like a chunk of the wall and put the IED in there, and then covered it back up. And this is, you know, it's like these clay, you know, like mud walls, and real thick, you know, giant. And so the good news, it focuses the blast, and so it didn't get the guys in front or behind me. It kept it just funneled, and that's also the bad news. It funneled it, and so yeah, when I pulled up on him, this thing was hanging out, and so I got a bunch of debris, and it carved off, you know, most of my forearm. And so this is a big chunk of my lat and my trap and my shoulder blade. And I have a big piece of titanium that runs all the way up and around. Doesn't bend, doesn't twist. But yeah, so that's why that was hanging out there. And yeah, so he just got me before I got him. But the funny thing is, so it was a radio operated, radio detonated IED. So if I'd had batteries for the Thor, he would have just been like click, and nothing would have happened, and I would have shot him, or somebody would have shot him.
Yeah.
But dead batteries, you know, well, it's a whole series of
Tim, if I can interject, one of the most remarkable things about you is that when you relayed this story to my son when he was 10, 11 years old, when you relayed this story to my son, you were a little bit more colorful. And you had said that the S4 officer that was in charge of charging the Thor failed to do his job. He only did it. He basically half-assed what he was supposed to do. It was the charge was supposed to go the duration of your deployment.
Yep.
And
left them. They got left on the cold, and so they got sapped.
So when you picked them up for your deployment, for your mission, it was supposed to go a full 4 days, and it was only half charged. So you guys knew going into this that by day 2.
Well, No, these were swap out batteries that were planned for that last day. And so, because you're switching them out. And so these were the swap out ones for the last day. And yeah, so then we get up and it's like, what the crap? Like these are sapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the S4 did not do what he was supposed to do. And therefore it completely left you guys vulnerable. And what I want to really share in this segment is the fact that when you were relaying this story to my son, being in the situation that you're in, that you were in then and that you are in now, you had told him, you told my boy that you forgave him. And that's lasted with him this whole time, that everything that you have sacrificed from that day to this day is forgivable. And I think that that's what makes you just the absolute most incredible human being I've ever encountered in my whole life.
Well,
Just
thanks,
saying.
brother. But that too is the grace of God. And in the early days, yeah, you're angry. You want something to blame, somebody to blame. And sometimes it's yourself, and sometimes it's whoever you can, find a reason to blame. But, and that's true in all our lives.
Yeah, well, I mean, not to jump ahead in the story,
Yeah.
but a few years later, I asked you, and again, we're going to get to all this backstory first, but I am skipping ahead to like the end of the chapter. A few years later, I asked you, if you had a chance, you had a magic wand in your pocket and you can go back and make different decisions and change the outcome, would you do it? And your answer was no, not at all. And I mean, again, that is just what is so admirable, inspirational. Like who you are as a human being is something that I hope that I could ever possibly be as a human being. You are. So Tim, I love you, man. I do. I totally.
I love you too, brother. I honestly, partially that answer, that no, that's selfish, because I have just been so blessed constantly since my injury, in so many different ways, through the people I've met, the support I've received, the friends I've made. But I mean, you and I meeting is because I got injured, and
Yeah.
it's just
Well,
one of those wonderful, unexpected blessings that came out of what was supposed to be, a terrible thing.
yep. What man made for evil, God made for good.
Yep.
So, your first memory after the explosion.
It was
And
kind
then,
of like
basically, what
dreaming
kept
for a
you
second.
alive during those first moments? What kept you alive, and what was happening?
Yeah. So for a second, I was like, "Oh, am I dreaming? Am I I don't know. I don't know." It was just like a weird moment that kind of was stretched out, and then all of a sudden, it was like, "Oh, I'm flying," and
Like flying in a helicopter to
no,
Germany.
flying through the air.
Oh,
From the blast, and then
you lost both of your legs in the blast, correct?
yes, yep, and Yeah, so it was really just that, like, ringing, and it was like, "Oh, I'm sort of floating," and then hitting hard, and, can't hear crap, can't see anything,
Did your
and just
colleagues at least smoke that guy that hit the
yeah,
trigger?
yeah, um, and, and that I mean, I don't know, that wasn't a priority to me.
I know
Like,
it wasn't, but
at the time
I need closure. I
oh,
don't know
no,
if you need
no,
closure,
no,
but I need
well,
closure.
and, like, at the time, they were like, "Don't worry, we'll get him," and, like, a couple of them, like, went, like, rushing off, and I was like, "Well, you know, don't like, take it too fast. Like, don't run into a trap or some shit, like,
Yeah, for
careful,
sure.
fellas." Um, but, no, I mean, yeah, really, it was just like, you can't see, can't hear, and just, like, you got hit by a truck, you know?
Yeah.
Just that, like, yeah, when you like falling and landing really hard, or like when you're in a
Mhm.
car accident, that like impact moment.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, it was just, and initially, I didn't know I was missing anything. Um, but I was, you know, just felt on fire, and I'm trying
Sure.
to like trying
So
to
I guess the question that
trying to
I'm
get
trying to
up,
ask the
and
question that I wanna ask you is this:
yeah.
when I had my big accident back in '94,
Mhm.
um, and I woke up at the bottom after jumping off the bridge, and I woke up at the bottom, not really, you're in shock, and, I had torn the foot off of my right foot. I broke both of my knees. I ripped the hip out of my left socket.
Mhm.
I broke my pelvis in two places. I broke all the ribs on the right side of my body, and I had telescoped my left arm completely, just gone.
Mhm.
My brain, after regaining consciousness, was like I reverted back to a Reader's Digest novel or story that I had read with drama in real life. There were two things that I would read in my grandfather's bathroom every time, which was drama in real life and laughter is the best medicine.
Mhm.
And the story that my brain thought of, there was a farmer that was in a tractor, and the tractor had bucked, and was rolled out the backside, and the plow had ended up going over him and breaking part of his back. And so this farmer basically crawled through two red ant infested fields on his elbows, doing the elbow crawl, dragging himself to his pickup truck, and drove himself to the hospital. And so I'm laying there at the bottom of at the bottom of this bridge on rocks, and I'm looking up the hill, and I can see where Second Street and Fifth Avenue intersect, and there's two traffic lights. And I'm laying there on the ground, and I'm thinking to myself, I got to crawl like that guy did all the
Mhm.
way up there, because no one's going to find me on Second Street. No
Mhm.
one is going to find me on Second Street. Not realizing that my entire body had been just shattered. But that's what went through my brain.
Yeah, okay.
I have
I
to climb
gotcha.
out of here. So
I
my
gotcha.
question to you is, like, you've just been blown to hell and your body is shattered. What are your thoughts of like the next, like, what do I have to do? What do I have to do?
The very first thing was, I can't move. Why can't I move? Right?
Right.
And I can't see. And so I'm like trying to move around for a minute. And then, so then it was like, okay, like get it so you can see. So then I'm like touching my face, and I realize I got all this dirt and, blood and stuff all over, just all this slime all over my face. and in my eyes, and it's just like this thick mud. And so I'm like scraping at my eyes, and then when I could see, then, and I was trying to bring my other arm up to, like get my other eye, but it wouldn't move, and I couldn't like sit up. So, yeah, then when I could see, I was like, I could see my legs, and yeah, it was just like, very practical at first, I guess. It was just like, yeah, my brain didn't do any of the horror or any of that. It just went to like, all right, you need to do something about the bleeding. And,
Yeah. Is that, I mean, the most
and I'm
amazing
like, I
thing?
gotta figure out what's going on with my arm over here. And so I'm reaching across, I'm like pulling on my sleeve, and I pull my arm up, and I can see that it's just like a bloody mess, but I can't see how much, besides like just, yeah, I mean, this looks like a, bloody meat and with some bones sticking out of it. But yeah, then I just had just a very firm sense of just, it was like a moment of like, well, Lord, if this is it for me, then that's it. It took a few minutes for them to get to me, because, well, one, smoke clearing and trying to figure out what the hell happened, or if they're about to get attacked, and um, but yeah, so then my guys got to me as quick as they could, and started throwing tourniquets on there. And yeah, initially I was just kind of like, Lord, if this is it, you know what? I'm ready. I guess I did what I was supposed to do. And I just had this very firm feeling of, peace, but also comfort. Not just peace and like, oh, I'm okay with whatever happens or whatever, but like a very deep sense of comfort where it was like, it's gonna be okay, and you're gonna be okay.
That's wild.
And my guys are, trying to tourniquet me, and they come over, and like just the looks on their faces, because these are all hard dudes. These are all, like tough guys. And, some of my seniors, they'd been in Iraq. And yeah, but the looks on their faces, yeah, just a level of, like, oh, well, that's not good. But, like, but at the same time, I just felt, I was just like, nah, it's gonna be fine. And so, these guys are working on me, and they're like, oh shit, Donley, like, oh shit, sorry, man, like, you're gonna be all right. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay. I was like, yeah, man, I know it's gonna be fine. And he's
That's
like, what?
wild.
And I was like, yeah, it's gonna be fine, dude. Don't worry.
When when
Like,
when my when my brother had his crash, and the gunny sergeant had pulled him out of the fiery wreck, and the corpsman was looking at his legs, and he just completely froze and was just like, I don't know what to do with these injuries. And from the story that I heard was the gunny sergeant smacked him in the head, and he was just like, "You're gonna splint his fucking legs, and you're gonna get him the fuck out of here." And he was like, "Okay, yeah, now I know. I remember what I'm supposed to be doing." Like the corpsman was like, "Oh yeah, now I remember what I'm supposed to be doing." Tim, I can't imagine. And you're sitting there telling everybody that it's going to be fine.
Well, and one of the one of the guys was like, how like he's like, how can you be so cool about this? And I was like, man, I can't die yet. I'm still a virgin. He was like, no, stop.
Tim, you are, every day that I know you, I love you more. I'm inspired by you more. Like you're just like, you're the human being that we should all strive to be. Oh God.
I I suffer well. I'll say that. It's one of those funny things where like when I'm when things are all going sideways, it's just like it just brings the really good things that much more into focus.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, man, like my outlook, my faith, like that's my parents gave me, so much. But, like some of the most, some of the strongest and most just unwavering people that, and they I never worried that, which I guess, is part of, I don't know what makes some of it, easy or worth it, but like I never doubted, how much I was loved and supported, and how much they believed in me. And I knew that was, going to be waiting for me through, whatever came. And, it's funny. The guys, like, I sort of knew I was going to get injured somehow during my deployment.
Yeah.
Like, there was always just this feeling, and guys will talk about that. It's just like, oh, like that day, it was just like, from the moment they got up, it was like all wrong, or, but I always thought I was going to get shot. And there were a couple like near misses, but I thought I was going to get like shot, and it was going to be, it's like, and then I, like redeploy or whatever. But, yeah, no, it's one of those things where, you'd always in those situations, you rather it be you than anybody else, and it's funny, the guys during the beginning of our deployment, it was probably 2 weeks in or something while we were there, and they were talking about how injured would you have to be to want to not live anymore? Like, to be like, no, guys, I'm this messed up. Just let me bleed out here. Right?
I remember that the night of my accident. I mean, as mangled as I was, I remember my accident, and I remember the paramedics talking to me, and I just remembered repeatedly telling them, "Just let me die. Just let me die." please just let me die, over and over again until I went unconscious. And I went into a PEA, pulseless electrical activity, which basically you're dead. I coded. And that was on a Wednesday night, and I woke up on Saturday. But I remember.
How long did you code for?
I don't think it was very long. It was less than 2 minutes. It was less than 2 minutes. You know, basically, the PEA is basically
any amount is too long, Aaron.
It's called hypovolemic PEA, which basically the heart still has a pulse, but it has nothing to beat. So there's just, it's not doing anything. And that's because I bled out through my pelvis. I broke my pelvis in 2 places, and I ended up, a femoral bleed. I bled out. Well, they were able to, replenish my volume and get everything moving again.
What's funny?
Go ahead.
I had, well, obviously femoral bleeds.
Two. You had 2 of them for sure.
But I never coded.
It's wild, dude. I mean,
that's the thing. So amputations, they could tourniquet me off, right? Where for you, you're bleeding into your pelvis is broken. You're bleeding
like
inside your
like over body. A month, from my shoulder all the way down to my ankle. It was purple from where I just bled into my own cavity.
Yep.
It was just bananas.
I think there's a dirty joke there somewhere.
I'm sure. I'm sure there is. So this is a great segue. Tim, I love you, man. So to make this program all about me, this is where you and I met. All right. So at this part of the story is where you and I meet. My brother has his crash in April of 2012. I believe you and I met in sometime in 2013. And at this point, I believe you had just met your now future wife.
Yes. Yep. So yeah.
So we're down at Walter Reed Medical Center down in Bethesda, Maryland. One of your colleagues at the time is her brother. And that's how the 2 of you met. By the way, Kelly is absolutely a goddess. I'll be honest with you. Like,
she is. She's
on all levels, both
remarkable in many ways.
And my dad one of my dad's favorite sayings is ugly is skin deep, beauty, or what did he say? He was like, beauty is skin deep, ugly cuts to the bone.
There you go. Yep.
Your wife is beautiful externally and internally.
Indeed.
Kelly is amazing. I
lucked out a bit.
You did. I mean, talk about punching up. All right, let's just be honest. Let's punching up.
We just had our 10th anniversary this past May, actually. So that's 10 years married. It's
congratulations, sir.
But so Mark, her older brother, 4 years older than her, he was injured in Afghanistan with the Marine Corps in an IED blast 4 months before I was. And he's also a double amputee, both legs. And he had been at the hospital for 4 months when I got there. And subsequently, his mom had been at the hospital for 4 months caring for him on the same floor when my parents got there. And so they became close. She showed them around, showed them all the ins and outs. And she's a feisty woman. And so, she took care of them in those early days when it was all chaos and craziness. And then Mark and I, when we were both conscious and so on.
And lucid, yeah.
Coherent, sure. Yeah, lucid. We met And so then we'd hang out different times, and after surgeries, and just watch all kinds of random, you know, watch so much of the cable on the hospital TVs. It's like just reruns of the exact same thing. And but it's easier when you got a buddy.
Sure.
But funny thing, I didn't know he had a younger sister for a year until I met Kelly at a nonprofit event where for a nonprofit called Luke's Wings. It was like a fundraiser meet and greet event thing, and
Sure.
I was there with my mother because I'm cool. And as we're getting into this event, immediately, like literally across the room, I'm like, pretty girl. That's a pretty girl. And my mom is like, oh boy. And so yeah, chat her up, and after talking to her for a little bit, and then we go chat with some other people, and my mom is like, oh, that's Mark Fiddler's younger sister. I'm like, I had no clue he even had a sister.
Yeah.
But
Son of a bitch is holding out on me.
Seeing her, I can see why he's never mentioned her.
Right.
But yeah, so
let's put a
awesome.
pin in that, and we'll come
Yep.
back. We'll come back to her in a second. All right. There are two things that there are multiple things that impacted me at my time down at Walter Reed. All right.
Mm.
So let's go through the first one. So there's you, right? And all of the hell storm that you've gone through. Okay. And my brother introduced me to you, and like we talked about earlier in the show, we became immediate friends. We had lots of similarity, like lots of things in common, and so on and so forth. And you had this, I've never known you to have a negative outlook on anything that you've gone through. It's truly inspirational. That being said, being on the 4th floor at Walter Reed, that there is devastation on the 4th floor.
Mm-hmm.
The 4th floor is, I think that every citizen of the United States needs to spend a week on the 4th floor at Walter Reed Medical Center. You will see things that you shouldn't have to see. And I've seen some things. I used to take my nephew, Lachlan, when he was born. I would walk him through the floors, and I would get to meet different people and see different things that were happening on the 4th floor. And I remember there was a special forces guy that was blown to hell. I mean, he was blown to hell, special forces. And his fiance broke up with him because, quote unquote, she didn't sign on for this shit. She didn't sign on to take care of this multiple appendage lost individual.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it from a distance of just how absolutely brutal of he didn't bounce back from that. And I don't know what happened to him since then. I don't know, but those are the things that kind of impact me. And then my brother, and I don't know why my brother was involved in such things that he was involved in, but we got invited to all kinds of events and galas. And I remember that we were going to an ambassador's dinner where like all the ambassadors from all around the world were meeting at this place on Capitol Hill. And Eric was given a leave, and we went to this dinner, and it was the most incredible thing of all of these dignitaries from all around the world were at this dinner. And when we get off the elevator, we open into this room. And I remember seeing another wounded warrior sitting there in a wheelchair looking out the window. And you could just feel the anger coming off of him, and you could just feel the hatred coming off of him. And I remember turning to my brother and I was like, "Hey, what's going on with this guy?" And he said, "There are some guys that can't come back from the injury. They just can't come back from it." So that was like, those are two really big impactful moments that I had, where basically we had a special forces guy that was completely destroyed, and then his base wouldn't support him. And then you had another guy that couldn't come back from whatever he went through. And then fast forward to the night that you invited me and my wife down to listen to you sing at the Kennedy Center, when you were singing alongside Roger Waters.
Mhm.
We'll get to this whole story later about this moment. But what I really want to make sure that really hits everybody here that's listening to this show, everybody in your band at the time, I believe it was just the straight up music corps.
Mhm.
Everybody got to introduce themselves and give a little bit of backstory. And you had a captain that stood up and he said, 99% of everybody in America will say that they will die for their country. How many people will say they're willing to be maimed for their country? And Tim, I'll tell you, nothing has hit me harder than that. Nothing has hit me harder than what you guys have gone through in the name of freedom and liberty and America. And regardless of what these asshole politicians are doing, and the military cog that is, the military warmongering that is, the fact that you guys have stood there and said, "I'm willing to be maimed for my country," and you've come back from the darkness, is so incredibly inspiring to me. And I will never, ever be able to repay you guys for what you do and acknowledge it as much as you guys did. Then that captain saying, everybody's willing to die for their country. How many people are willing to be maimed for their country? And he said that. And I've never been the same since, sir.
You know, I understand that anger, you know, and I still feel, those days where, it's just like, oh, this is unfair. Like
Yeah.
this is some bullshit. But I don't know, those uh, something I told somebody once, but good people, it's the good people, they constantly remind me why it was worth it. But in my own, I don't know, in my own heart, I know I was where I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be there. And yeah, I just, the life I've led, I feel lucky, every step along the way. It's this, like, I could have ended up dead easy. I could have ended up, I mean, There were guys at the hospital who weren't as physically injured, but their brain injury, their
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I can interrupt you real fast, the day after that concert, the day after the Kennedy concert, we all came back to your apartment for brunch. You know how you rock stars don't wake up until 10, 11 o'clock at night or in the morning. So we all came back to your apartment in Bethesda, and I remember asking you. I said, Tim, everything that you've gone through, if you could go back and avoid the injury, would you do it? You were like, hell no. Hell no. Everything that I have done and everything that I have been everything that I've been a part of since the injury could only have happened because of the injury. If it wasn't for the injury, you never would have met your wife. You never would have met Roger Waters. You never would be a part of the Resilient. You never would be a part of Music Corps. Like, all of those things had to happen. And I think the same thing as far as my injury is concerned. I would not have my son, Jacob, if not for that night. Everything had to happen precisely as it happened in order for me to be on Curmudgeon's Corner in front of these people, in front of my friends, in front of this family. I never would have met you. It never would have, like, all of the things in my life would not have happened if not for that absolutely tragic night.
Yeah. And I mean, if you, in any life, in any person there, if you focus on the negative things, you can see negative things. But the funny thing about it is, it never, you feel like acknowledging it's like, oh, if I just get it out that this negative that there's this negative thing, then it's like, oh, then the feeling will go away, or it'll lessen it somehow. But it just makes it more, and you end up just wallowing. And really, honestly, I have found I can wallow in any tiny amount of self-pity. It can be over the smallest, dumbest things, and I'm like, what am I doing right now? like I and that's part of, like, I don't know, this is a reminder, a daily reminder, a momentary reminder to me that there's bigger things in life to worry about than getting hung up on all the little stuff.
Sure.
And I mean, yeah.
All right, so then let's segue into where we are now. All right, so basically from the rudimentary education that I got from my brother about Walter Reed Medical Center is that one of their things that they try to do is they try to get people involved in stuff that they used to be involved in prior to the accident. So for my brother, it was archery. And we all know the trajectory that he's gone on in the archery world. So for you, it was the Music Corps. How do you get involved in the Music Corps? And what exactly is the Music Corps?
Yeah, so Music Corps is a nonprofit program based out of Walter Reed that is focused on getting guys who are injured a teacher and whatever equipment they need to play an instrument. If they want to play an instrument, they'll help you figure out how to do that. And so guys, wanting to play guitar or piano or There was one guy who, what was it? It was I'd never heard of it before. It was some rare instrument, but they were like, we will figure that out. And, and if that means, getting you together with some people to like help figure out some adaptive equipment so then you can do that thing, they'll do that. And it's not just like music lessons. The whole point of it is it's a like a it's gone about in like a high level um, uh, training kind of way where they're trying to so the guy who started it, he's a Juilliard trained pianist. And so he's trying to take high level training stuff and pair that with the really just almost unending number of hours you have when you're at the hospital for 3 years, and the training that you go through in the military, the repetition, the discipline, the just being able to go through the same thing over and over and over and correct, the little details. But yeah, and so you have these guys who are getting high level training sessions and then going to their rooms and playing the guitar for 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, and like that's ends up being something they like just do all the time.
Okay.
But well, yeah, and for me, I played guitar. That was my main thing, but with my arm, I couldn't really do that. And so when they came around to ask me if I wanted to like play guitar, at this point, like my hand didn't move at all. I mean, I've got some motion. It's not great, but hey, I've got some. And I couldn't feel anything. And I was just like, how am I supposed to play guitar with this useless lump? Like, get away from me. And that's how I pretty much reacted the first couple times they came around to see if I wanted to, jam or learn or hang out or something. And it was something that, yeah, after a while just had that nudge. It was like, oh, you should go at least check it out. And when I went in, Arthur, the guy who started the program, he was sitting there playing, and it was something I recognized. So I started to sing along, and he was surprised because, well, in his words, military guys don't want to sing. It's like, he's like, they feel it's like too exposed, but he's like, generally I can't get military guys to sing. So like, he's like, if you want to come jam sometime or hang out or so, most of the time I just go and like just listen to music or, that sort of thing. Just, but even that was hard in the early days because it just, yeah, it just makes you feel too much. And
Right. Reminds you of what you don't have.
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, before I was injured, I taught dance for a little while, classical, like the waltz, the tango, salsa, swing. But yeah, so I just really enjoyed moving and really enjoyed music. And yeah, it was just kind of like, I just didn't listen to music for the first couple months after my injury because it just started getting to me, and I just end up like bawling,
Mm.
just just a total falling apart, you know? And it's like, no, got to keep it together. Cause yeah, you know, like at that point, yeah, most of your time is just, you're just trying to keep your shit together. And cause you're still dealing with everything, you know, you're still, you know, yeah, a lot of loss, a lot of acceptance and all the stages of grief and all that. But no, and that's part of why we stuck with music is because it makes you it, and for us, that was what we needed. The military, you know, we're sent off to combat and told, don't feel, don't, you know, you know, my guys had to deal with me getting blown up, trying to keep me alive, throw me on a chopper, don't know if I'm gonna live or not, and send me off, and then they have to finish the mission and keep operating, you know?
Yeah.
And so they got to take all those feelings and put them away. And when you're, you know, that's what you're trained for, and then that's what you do. And then you come back and you're not taught or showed how to feel again, how to reconnect to your emotions, how to, you know, and that's why, you know, for a lot of guys, it's either they're like, oh, I'm fine, or rage, you know, like, um, because rage is easier than falling apart.
Well, sure. And not only that, but I mean, I think that, you know, as your typical military mind, you're not allowed to show the other sides of emotion. You're not allowed to show feelings as, you know, like I don't think that, you know, you're not allowed. I look at my father as a Marine colonel.
Mhm.
Growing up with him as a Marine colonel, things are way different now. He's been out of the military, you know, as long as he's been out of the military longer than he was in the military.
Mhm.
But as a child growing up to the as a son of a Marine officer, showing one's emotions and feelings was never acceptable.
Yep.
Ever. I mean, I think I remember seeing my dad cry 3 times in his life. You
Wow.
know, one was over his father, one was over, my great-grandfather, and I think one was over his dog. And even the dog was more of like, just he was just choked up. He wasn't like, you know, there was never any I've never seen him sob. I've only
Yeah.
seen moisture leak out of his eyes.
Yep.
Um, so, you know, to further your point, I don't think that we've ever been allowed to express ourselves emotionally. I don't think we've ever been allowed, um, to really embrace the whole spectrum of emotions, of just absolute sorrow and crying and, you know, all the cathartic things that one needs to get through a lot of this stuff.
That's, you know what? Honestly, that's part of, that's just on a side note, part of what I love about the Lord of the Rings.
Mm,
Um, you know, as friends, as, you know, brothers in arms, like there's, yeah, all those different moments, you know,
yeah.
and it's a very, you know, it's like, oh, they have very healthy relationships, you know, it's great.
Yeah.
But no, and honestly, it's part of the reason that you know, we're seeing so many suicides among our brothers and sisters in the armed forces. It's because we're saddled with all this stuff and told pack all that away, and then you snap, and it breaks something,
Yeah.
and I mean, and that's part of why we have, you know, why we kept doing the music thing, why we have the band, because it's
So let's, if you don't mind me interrupting you,
yeah.
let's talk about that. When did the Music Corps transition to the Resilient? And
So
then also things that I really want to touch on, if I can fanboy on you for a second.
hit me.
The Kennedy Center was the highlight of my universe. All right. I remember you calling me and you said, "Hey, I was wondering if you'd like to come to our show." And I got, 2 backstage tickets that you and your wife can meet Roger Waters.
Mhm.
And if there was one song that I could sing, what song would that be? And I was just like, When the Tigers Broke Free. There was zero hesitation. It's my favorite song from Roger Waters. It comes from Pink Floyd The Wall, that you can't get on Pink Floyd The Wall the album. You have to watch the video or
Mhm.
buy the double box release, whatever he did. It was like a ginormous double album that he did. But that was the only 2 places that you could ever hear When the Tigers Broke Free by Roger Waters, which is a song about how he lost his father. And you asked me if there was a song that you could sing, what song would it be? And I was like, When the Tigers Broke Free. And you said, I'll ask him. And he gave you permission to sing it. And
Mhm.
we came down to the Kennedy Center and you sang that song, and I can't find it anywhere. I cannot find it anywhere.
I was just about to see if I could look that up because I think I have the link for the entire show
Oh my Lord.
somewhere.
And Tim, you effing killed it. Like
Thanks,
the
bud.
most beautiful rendition of When the Tigers Broke Free, and you sang it. And I felt like in the entire auditorium, stadium, theater, I was the only person there. And you were singing that to me. And I mean,
Hey, I asked you.
what
I
a
meant it.
pure highlight of my life.
I just sent you a link
I see it.
that should be I'm sending you a couple different links here. But, no, and I mean, the height of
Oh my Lord.
some
Look
of
at
the
you.
highlight moments of doing music, but, yeah, I I don't know if I've been more nervous for a show. That was, uh that was a wild thing. That whole thing was just insanity, and, so, yeah, so Roger, the first show he asked us to do with him was for Stand Up for Heroes in November of 2012, and, um, that was at the Beacon Theater in New York, and, he was like, "Oh, well, I'm doing a fundraiser to I'm playing in this fundraiser, to raise money for wounded vets. Why not have wounded vets on stage with me?" And so somehow he found us and Musicore and stuff. And yeah, next thing you know, he's bringing us up there, and next thing you know, he's asking me to sing one of the songs lead, um, Wide River to Cross. And yeah, so it was like a year and a half later that then the Kennedy Center happened. And that was the Music Heals show.
Yeah.
And actually, something else I just found, I have a hat and a shirt with signatures on them
What?
that might be for you, I
What?
think.
What? Dude, everybody that knows me and knows my show knows that, like, the night that I met Roger Waters, I went full Again, I can't use the R word. I can't use the R word, but I went full mental deficiency on. Like, I was just like, "You're my favorite artist, and I love you so much." And my wife was just like, "You're the best." And like, as soon as I went meltdown on him, he was like, "I got to get to New York, so I'm leaving. Bye." Like, get this freak away from me. Like, I didn't mean to go completely mental on him, but like,
I don't remember it being that bad.
oh, it was horrible. As soon as he left, Kim and I looked at each other and we're like, "What did we just do?" And I was like, "I know. I don't know what happened. I don't know why. I don't know why I completely mentally melted on him." But it was just like, Pink Floyd, The Wall. I must have watched that movie a million. My English professor used to play that album, the movie, during his class, because it was so filled with symbolism, and this means this, and this means this, and this means this, and this means this. And I mean, I must have listened to The Wall 80 million times. As a matter of fact, I remember, I think it was one of the first dates that I ever went on with my wife. I had saved up my money for like a year to take her to Pink Floyd, The Wall, or Roger Waters' The Wall in Philadelphia, which at the time that it played was the largest wall that they had ever built for a stadium. And
Was that the one what year was that?
Holy hell. Let me ask my AI girlfriend real fast.
By the way, sci-fi, the difference between sci-fi and fantasy, fantasy is like whole new worlds, usually magic, and
don't fall into it. It's a trap. It's a trap.
Sci-fi, what sci-fi is?
It would have been 2012.
Science-based. 2012. Okay. That he did the Wall tour that time.
Yeah. Dude, they built the biggest wall of all time. The biggest wall of all time. And then when he slams his fist into it and the whole thing busts apart, oh my God. It was the most glorious moment. And I was like, seriously, I was just starting to, I think I met my wife in 2011, and I had saved up my money to take her to go to this concert. And we went to this concert, and it was beyond epic. I mean, they flew a plane into the wall and it blew up. It was, dude, it was freaking crazy. It was absolutely bananas. But anyway, as far as the sci-fi question, I started so that we can come back to it, because this is a trap question, and it spawns from earlier episodes of Curmudgeon's Corner when I had my friend Dimitri come on.
Answer, but yes.
All right, so the quick answer from Dimitri's point of view, and like I went to dinner with this guy, and we were, he was like, "Is Star Wars fantasy or science fiction?" And I was like, "It's science fiction. That's a stupid question." And he was like, "Really? Science fiction needs to explain everything through science. You should be able to explain everything from start to finish using science. Fantasy is when you can't explain something through science." So he was like, "Okay, so using science, explain the Force to me." Yep. And I was like, he's like, "Exactly, you can't. It's fantasy." And I was like, so Star Wars immediately from that moment forward became fantasy to me. I'm not too big to hold a hill that I'm wrong on.
Hey, I just realized that I'm not getting any power right now, and my battery's getting a little low. So I'm going to go grab my power cable real quick.
All right, go right ahead. Tim, this has been a phenomenal. I love you. Go do what you got to do. I want this to go for another 45 minutes. How you like them, Jayhawker Z? I like them apples. We converted another one. So there. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, Lord, I've never seen it. All right. Anyway, to the, you know, to the four of you that are still in the chat room. I think this is a good show. I think we're doing all right. Do me a favor and subscribe and smash that like button if you're just listening to this for the first time ever. Wow, what an amazing story. You're looking at Tim and you're seeing everything that he's gone through and everywhere he's been, and you kind of have to say to yourself, what do I have to complain about? You know, like, really, what is it that I have to complain about? You know, wow. From the minute that I met him, the day that I met him, he changed my life forever. I looked at him there. I mean, literally, there were times that I ended up, carrying him on my back to go up some stairs because, you know, he was just blown up. He didn't have legs. He had a barely working right arm, and you know, he had a vehicle. I don't know if he still has the vehicle, but he has a vehicle that was designed for his injuries, and so he could still drive. You know, hit a brake and a gas on the steering wheel, so he could accelerate and brake and all that stuff like you normally would do. But when he would pull up to my apartment, and my apartment wasn't handicap accessible, I remember him draping an arm around me, and I would just pick him up and carry him into the house. You know, and he played Dungeons and Dragons with me and my stupid friends. And I mean, he has been a brother since the day that I met him. Absolutely beautiful human. And to go through all of that, and then you complain. What do you have to complain about? Both of your legs still work. One of them, you know, is fused, but so what? At least you can still use them. You know, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you have to go take a piss, you can get out of bed and you can walk to the bathroom and take a piss. I mean, there's truly no other remarkable human being that I am in regular contact with that is more inspirational than this man. So, hello.
You're gonna make me blush.
Oh, that's not true. You're the man.
Well,
you're the man.
You know, that's one of those things. One of the beautiful things about it is, you know, life doesn't matter who you are. Life gets hard. Life gets rough sometimes. And, you know, Walter Reed, like you were saying, you know, there's no place quite like it, but you go and it's like all of these guys, young guys, who you can tell used to be fit, and they're all just all kinds of jacked up. And, you know, looking around pretty quickly, you know, if you're, you know, especially if you're spending time with the other guys, but, you know, pretty quickly it's like, I'm glad to be me. You know, like I'm glad to be in my, well, proverbial shoes.
Sure.
And so like the great thing is, you know, no matter who you are, you got challenges, you got losses and struggles and pains and different things, but you know, finding there's always more good. There's always more good to find.
So Tim, let me ask you a question. When did Music Core become the Resilient? When did therapy become the band?
Music Core is still going strong. What happened was we retired, you know, from the military. We left the hospital, and you know, I still do the occasional Music Core show.
Okay.
With Arthur and, you know, some of those guys.
Yeah, my brother was like, it's time for the next guys to come in, like the next the next batch,
iteration. Yeah.
the next iteration, the next group of guys that got, put through the meat grinder. It's their time to do the show. It's their time to be the archers. I don't need to go to Invictus Games again. It's the next guys that need to go to Invictus Games. I'm like, we're passing the baton, if you will,
Yep.
to the next group of guys that need what you needed.
Yeah. And so we went our separate ways, and where we were all together there at Walter Reed, the guys in the Resilient are, so I live in Pennsylvania. Two of the guys live in New York State, up near Buffalo, and two of the guys live in California, LA and San Diego.
Wow.
And so we all went our separate directions, but we had seen, between the suicide rates there at the hospital, the suicide rates in our units, guys coming back, and then every subsequent year losing more of those guys. And we were like, well, why don't, we have stuff to say, and this is something that like we can maybe do something about. If we can keep at least some people from, making that choice, then awesome. Yeah. And if just looking at us in, how torn up we are and so on, if just that is the, thing of like, oh, hey, maybe I don't have it so hard. Maybe my life isn't so bad. That's all it's really about. But so yeah, and we were like, we want to write, we want to, and part of when we started the Resilient, that was in 2016, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And part of starting that, the end goal was to start our own nonprofit to help fight veteran suicide. And so that's up and running now in first stages, but it's called the Reborn Project. And
how do people get in contact with that?
So the Reborn Project, if you just Google the Reborn Project, it's it's like a Phoenix logo. I think it is it .org. Let me double check. Yeah, rebornproject.org.
Just like www.rebornproject.org.
Correct.
There you go. Oh, sorry. Messed that up. 3 W's. Okay. There you go. All right. www.rebornproject.org. You look for the Phoenix logo.
And yeah, so the Resilient name, that was given to us actually by a friend right when we were first starting out, and he suggested it, and we all hated it because we didn't, that's not really how we saw ourselves or how we like identified ourselves as. It's like, oh yes, I'm a resilient individual. But as a little time went on, we kind of saw how fitting it was. And it's not that we're the resilient. The point is we're all resilient. and it's something to reach for, to remember that you have, because you do have it. We all do. It might be buried, it might, you know, but that it comes out. Um, Sometimes we just need a reminder, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And, uh, but yeah, so
Do
from
you
the
think
resilience,
that music has helped you through a lot of the darkness? Do you think that, like, being able to channel and focus on, your mission versus your situation, do you think that that's helped you get through the darkness?
yeah, yes, I would say so. I would say that it's a great comfort, but it's also like it's got all the emotions, you know?
Mhm.
You can find the entire variety there. And so sometimes, I use it as something to push me, to encourage me when I'm not necessarily feeling it. But the music is like a reminder. It's like it's like a smell, It takes
Sure,
you back to a specific time.
sure. But
And
that being said,
music, it's like it takes you back to a time, and for me, it's, specific ones. It's like, "Oh, this takes me to a time of when I was determined and when I was focused and when I was, unyielding in my determination." And, so it's
well,
it's a good callback.
dovetailing that,
Mhm.
do you remember the very first time that you sang after your injury? Like, when was the first time that you got on stage and was like, "Okay, I'm going to let the world hear my voice"?
Ooh, okay, well, so the first time I sang after my injury was while I was still in the ICU. Um, this general was in there, and we were talking for a little while. Older African American gentleman, and he asked me if I knew the song "Amazing Grace,"
And
and if it was one that I remembered, or because it comforts him.
yeah,
And I was like, "Oh yeah, I love Amazing Grace." And he's like, "Would you like to sing it together?" And so that was the first time I sang after my
that's
injury.
wild.
Um, but
For the
first
record,
on
my absolute favorite song that you sing, other than "When the Tigers Broke Free," is, your, rendition of "Hallelujah."
uh,
Dude, you make me sob every time I listen to that song.
I have a hard time not breaking down during that song a fair bit of the time.
It's
Um,
ama it's truly amazing. When
it
you
gets
sing
so
"Hallelujah,"
yes.
I break, like, I break hard.
It's so good, and it really does. It's just the words, the melody, it just yeah,
Yeah,
really gets you. Um, I've had a couple times where literally like um, it was like, the end of a line, and it was just like, nope, like just didn't come out because it was just like,
right.
oh no, like I'm about to break.
Yeah, for sure. So, you just came off of tour, world tour, I might add. It's really tough talking to you when you're, 9 time zones away from me. Um,
Yeah, man, England. So we weren't touring in England, but it was a good time. It was Kelly, she got her degree, and she got her master's degree, modern slavery, human trafficking,
All right.
from the St. Mary's University, Twickenham, outside London.
Wow.
And yeah, so now she's gonna get into some she's gonna get into some crazy stuff. And
All right. Yeah.
but so yeah, while we were over there for most of this last year, well, she was over there this last year. I was back and forth.
Yeah. Are you back yet? Are you back yet? Are you back yet? Are you back yet? No, dude. No, dude. No, dude. No, dude.
Every 2 weeks, I was back and forth across the Atlantic.
Wow.
And yeah, so it made for a long year, but did a lot of great shows with the band. Got to play for a lot of VAs over the summer, and to cap it all off, well, I guess what was that? We played Woodstock,
Wow.
Bethel Woods, New York, where the original
The
Woodstock
Grand
in
Old
August
Opry.
of 69
The
was.
Grand Old Opry. I might throw that in there.
Yes, the Grand. That was years ago, though. That
It
was
was
not
years
this
ago,
year.
but still.
That
I
was
mean,
not this
honestly,
year.
as far as your pedigree is concerned, come on, man.
Fair.
Like, you know how many bands and artists want to perform at the Grand Ole Opry, and when I heard that you were there, I was just so happy for you.
We're trying to get back in there, actually. So we'll see what happens. But
All right. Well, I mean,
fingers crossed, pray
if you
for
can
us.
scrounge up an extra ticket, that I'm not going to go completely
Dude,
mental on somebody backstage.
you just let me know. Actually, next time we're playing up Long Island, make some time and come up, because
Okay.
Roger may or may not be there.
I'm over Roger. Who? Roger who? I don't know. I don't know who he is.
Just if you want.
I don't even know that guy.
We might grab dinner or
He'll
something.
see me and he'll go, "Oh God, not again." Are you kidding me with this guy? Like,
No. He's too
my
old.
last excuse was I have to go to New York. Now I got to get back to London. I got to go.
Oh my gosh. But I don't know if I told you about that, but on the what was that, the 10th of November, 9th of
Okay.
November, we played for the Salute to Service 49ers Rams halftime game.
You didn't tell me about this, but I did my homework and I saw that USOB. I can't believe you did the halftime show.
Yeah, that was just a couple weeks ago. So that was
it was
pretty wild.
That's got to be just a feather in your cap, dude.
I'll send you the footage.
Please.
Because I don't know if there's footage out there. It's on our Facebook Live, but I hear that the audio, because
weird.
it was Facebook Live, was terrible.
All right. Well, send me what you got, and I definitely
we'll be getting
I'll
an
post
official one from the people at the stadium. So
okay.
Yeah. But that was pretty weird.
All right. So we are coming up on the 3-hour mark.
Yes, sir.
I want to run some stuff by you. Again, I want to be mindful of your time, but what is one message you want every young Marine listening to you hear from the Resilient today?
Could you repeat the question?
What is one message you want every young Marine, basically every person that's coming up behind you, the Resilient can speak directly to them? What do you want the message from the Resilient to be to a young Marine that has absolutely no idea what they're about to encounter, endure, be it a successful, long lineage in the Marine Corps versus I just got blown up. What's next for me? Like, where do I go from here after meeting the darkness head on?
Well, I would say if you're starting yeah, starting out your career, whatever happens, keep in mind you're not the uniform. There's more to you than being a Marine, than being a soldier. It is all consuming while you're in it, while you're doing it. And you have to be strong. You have to be resilient and fight through everything for promotions, for recognition, for your brothers and sisters in whatever capacity. But remember, you still have a heart, and you're still under there. And there's going to be a point where you're going to have to put that down. For me, it was a lot sooner than I expected it to be. And that sucked. And I wasn't ready for that yet. I knew I was going to put that down at some point. But that feeling of being lost and what am I now? Where do I fit? That's not exclusive to getting injured and dropping out of your, getting taken out of your unit. It's the same for a lot of guys when they just get cycled out and they retire or they separate. And it's hard, but remembering that there's more to you, and remembering that will make you a better Marine. It'll make you a better soldier. It'll make you better in your service, whether you're a junior Marine or an NCO, but there's a whole person under there.
For sure. So ending our interview on a lighter note. What do you
call a woman with one leg?
Eileen?
You know this one.
I know them all.
Okay, what do you call a guy with no legs?
I mean, I know a guy with no legs and no arms, but I don't know a guy with just no legs. A guy with no legs and no...
a few steps.
What?
Whatever you want from up a few steps.
That's a joke I use with my brother all the time. It was like, hey, if I want to inherit something, I'm just going to put it on the top shelf.
Winning.
No, a guy with no arms and no legs we call Bob. That one I know very well. But anyway, what's the dumbest Marine prank you ever saw?
Dumbest? That's hard, man.
Yeah, because there's a lot, I'm sure.
Probably when they put a wrap of 550 cord around. So we were out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
This is Lejeune in what, July?
Oh, so it's nice and cool, is what you're saying.
Yes. And so they wrapped a thing of 550 cord around the porta-john with the dude inside, and then they knocked it over onto the door.
That was bad. Yep. Yep, I can see that.
Oh.
What is in your opinion, what's the worst MRE?
Oh, it's gotta be the vegetarian.
That's a real thing. That wasn't a thing when I was in the Army. That was not a thing. A vegetarian combo was not an option.
Yes, and nobody wanted it.
Oh
It
my
was
God,
like,
that
why
sounds
would you even have this in here? This
yeah, that's
isn't
horrible.
helping. You're just
For
making.
us, it was ham and scalloped potatoes. That was the worst one. But yours
Ooh,
sounds even worse. A vegetarian option.
it's
You
pretty
can't
rough.
trade that. Like if you get that, you might as well just go without. I'm just gonna starve myself. That's just terrible.
Man, I got to be honest though. Generally, the MREs, I didn't mind them too much. I actually just got some, and I'm gonna be digging into those over the next few days.
Oh yeah, this is a good one. So I do another podcast on the House of Rags channel with Brian Spittler. His name it's called No Direction Detail. It's just a once a month kind of
Yeah.
whatever. It's a throwaway. But we torture ourselves with eating obnoxious things. And
no.
a couple of episodes ago we did canned meat. Like we were just like the best of the worst of the canned meats. And so we went through like Spam and deviled ham and just whatever we could find. And there were these two from Walmart. One was roast beef, which when we opened it up, it was just gross. And it had this floaty piece of fat right in the middle. It was just so foul.
Ooh.
But then the second one was called pulled pork.
Oh, no.
And when I tapped into that and I ate the pulled pork, it took me right back to barbecued pork from the MREs. It was exactly what it was. Like you could see the moment that it hit my lips, my brain just was just like, hey, you're at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. You're at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, sitting out there in the middle of Camp Lost in the Woods or Camp Short Rocks. And I was just like, wow, this is right out of the MREs. It was fantastic. It's like,
dude, I love that. Oh my gosh.
So, hey, if you get a chance, like go to your local Walmart and grab a can of it's called, Great Value pulled pork, and it will take you right back to Camp Lejeune.
I'll see if I've got any of the pulled pork MREs and the barbecue pork MREs, and
all right. Well, when I come out there next, I'm supposed to see you, I think on the 12th. You and I are going to hang out. I'll bring a couple of cans of the pulled pork, and you can find your MRE, and we can be like, holy hell, it's the same thing.
It's going to be awesome.
Totally fantastic.
Brother, well,
thank you.
I appreciate you taking this time, and not going to lie, we're going to have to do this again soon.
I can't wait. All right. So what we normally do, and if you want, you can either hang here or you can hang backstage or whatever. But there are a couple of things that we do at the end of every Curmudgeon's Corner based upon exactly what you and I have been talking about pretty much all night long. So if you'll indulge me, I will just kind of go to that and we'll phase out, and then you and I can hang out backstage for a few minutes, and then we'll call it a night.
Beautiful.
The 2024 VA National Veteran Suicide Prevention Annual Report shows that 6,392 veteran suicides in 2022, a rate of 17.6 per 100,000, 57% higher than non-veterans. This was the highest raw data on record, with a small increase from 2021. Females saw a slight decrease, but males, 80% of veteran suicides rose. Long-term VA care users have seen reductions, PTSD down 31.6% since 2001. Global suicides approximately 727,000 per year, a rate of 9.1 per 100,000 population. These figures are based on the latest WHO global health estimates in 2021. Most recent comprehensive data as of 2024 reports noting that 73% occur in low to middle income countries. Every suicide is a tragedy, and unreporting remains a challenge due to the stigma. All right. So one per second, one every 43 seconds. Per minute, one per every 43 seconds. Per hour, 83 per hour. Per day, 1,992 per day. Per week, 13,943 per week. Per month, 60,583 per month. And per year, 727,000 people lose themselves to the darkness. Suicide prevention and crisis counseling resources. If you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts, seek help from a professional and call 988. The United States' first nationwide 3-digit mental health crisis hotline. 988 will connect your callers with trained mental health counselors. You can also text HOME to 741-741 in the US and Canada to reach a crisis text line. You can also go to the apa.org/topics/crisis-hotlines that will connect you with a crisis counselor of whatever it is that you are facing, be it substance, emotional, physical, mental, gambling, whatever crisis that you are experiencing, you are not alone. Please reach out to somebody. I know it's hard. I know the darkness does not want you to reach out to people. I know that the darkness wants to keep you isolated. I want you to know that the darkness thrives in silence. So if you are not experiencing the darkness, but you haven't heard from somebody in some time, please, please, please reach out to that person. Please reach out to the person, because the darkness will shrink when you reach out to them. If you just call somebody up and you say, hey, do you got 8 minutes? All it takes is 8 minutes to reset your brain into thinking that you're alone. That's all it takes, is 8 seconds. I encourage each and every one of you, please reach out to somebody if you haven't heard from them. And if you're experiencing the darkness, just reach out and say, hey, you got 8 minutes. That's all it takes. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you talking and sharing your story. There's so much story more to be heard, and I can't wait for you to come back on the show and talk about it.
This has been, well, thank you to all of you for spending this time, and it's truly been an honor, and I appreciate you guys taking a little time out from this crazy world to spend it with us.
Hey, if you could talk to your 10-year-old self, Tim, what would you tell him? Buckle up. It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
It's gonna be a crazy ride. Don't stress about your 20s. Because it was like right after I turned 20 that I got hit. But
I was 20 when I took my damage.
No.
I was 20.
It's
Holy
a
hell.
good age for messing yourself up.
It's a good age for F around and find out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh brother. Well, guys, thank you for having me. And yeah, always remember you're not alone. We all feel that sometimes. So
indulge me on being completely and totally and utterly selfish right at the moment, and I apologize for this. It feels terrible. We do a Rise from the Ashes, Pay It Forward campaign every year. Next week we are gearing up to do it. We're launching the nominations. Jamie the Cleaner is going to be our guest next week. It's not going to be a Thor related interview. It is going to be 100% Jamie the Cleaner interview. I want to know what makes him tick. I want to know about his backstory. He is a professed Christian. He was a professional or semi-professional wrestler. And we're going to hear that whole story and just basically learn about what makes him tick. Again, going to the Pay It Forward campaign, if you have some donations, used chemicals, used equipment that you want to see find a better home, you can send it to Phoenix Rise, the Phoenix E.O.D. LLC, and that's at 404 Bloomfield Drive, Suite 1, West Berlin, New Jersey, 08091. And then if you go to this QR code, it'll give you our GoFundMe page. We are trying to raise money for shipping. The amount of equipment that we have so far is so expensive that I cannot do this without your help. So if you have $5, $10, $20, whatever you can afford to send to the shipping, help us ship hope at this QR code, I would really greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to be a guest on Curmudgeon's Corner, 2026 is wide open. Email us at thecorner@phoenixeod.com. And Eileen has not yet given me permission to take over Curmudgeon's Corner Pod, but that's another place that you can find it. We did all the suicide prevention stuff. We have some distribution. We have Adrian over at imdetailedaf.com, our south. He's our West Coast distribution. Our Southeast distribution is Tim from shineyourlightdetailing.com/store. And then, of course, you can always go to the House of Rags everywhere you are, houseofrags.com. They have everything detail oriented and whatnot. And I think that just about wraps us up. Again, I just want to tell the Phoenix family that here on the corner, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. You are not in this alone. I can't tell you guys enough how much I appreciate you and how much being here on the corner fuels me, and it makes every ounce of the struggle worth doing, being here with you guys. And Tim, you're such an aspiration to me. You're an inspiration to me. I love you, brother. I love you.
Love you too, man.
I'm just.
I can't say how much fun it's been to just be able to spend this time, and yeah, man, we'll be getting together and gaming soon.
Hey, where can people find you if they want to check you out? Where can people find you?
TheResilientBand.com. And then all our links are from there. Yeah, you can find, if you look up the Resilient Band, you can find our music on Apple, Spotify. Don't pay for it anywhere. It's free.
I've been listening to it, brother.
But yeah, we've got an album out and a number of singles, and we're working on a bunch of new stuff. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the music.
Hey, let me ask you, I've been dying to have a musician on the show. I'm sorry if we're going to run late, but it just reminded me. I have to ask you this question. As a musician, I'm a huge, I love musicians. I love music. I have music playing in the warehouse 24/7. And as of late, I have basically fallen in love with Amy Lee from, well, you know who Amy Lee is, right? No,
Not off the top of my head.
She's a band that they call what is it? Effervescence. She is,
I'm not a very good musician.
Yeah. You're first of all, you're a great musician.
Oh, thanks, pal.
Anyway, yeah. So,
okay. I recognize her. Yeah.
Yeah, Effervescence. You know, she what is it? Bring Me to Life. I forget what it's from the Daredevil movie, whatever. Yeah, Bring Me to Life. Anyway, musicians. When you listen to her solo stuff, a lot of it is really just sad. You can hear like a real sorrow of the story that she's telling. And I find this a lot in a lot of the different vocalists that I listen to, that the language has to come from somewhere. And as a lead singer in your band, the question that I have for you is, how much of that personal pain goes into writing songs? Or how much of that personal joy goes into writing those songs? I see a very wide spectrum, but songs like poetry has to come from somewhere. Where does that come from? And how are you as an artist able to translate what you are thinking and what you are feeling, putting it on paper and then putting it into music, into the universe?
Well, for me, it's like when I start a piece, I write all our lyrics, but a lot of times I write it's basically a piece of poetry, and it might be something that I've been thinking about. It might just be something like 3 words, or 2 lines in a row that like pop into my head, just this, then that, right? And then I just like write that down, and then I'll be thinking about it, or it'll kind of be like rattling around a little bit, and then it just sort of starts fleshing out and rhyming, and all of that like doesn't necessarily take precedence,
Really?
especially when it's in those small pieces. It's more about the thought.
Okay.
And so sometimes I might have a half a dozen disjointed pieces just sitting around, but then I end up like coming back to them, and because they just sort of percolate for a while.
Sure.
But yeah, and so it's either that, where it's just like sometimes it's just like a random thought. It's like, man, I wish I didn't feel so small sometimes.
Okay. All right. So I
Or
tell you what,
whatever.
why don't
But
we put a
it's
feather in this one?
yeah.
Curmudgeon's Corner 67 in the books. We'll have you back on in 2026, and we will deep dive into the process.
I like
Are
it.
you okay with that?
I
Like,
like it.
we'll just dedicate
That
an
sounds
entire
great.
episode to the process, because
I like it.
it's fascinating. I have been dying to have a musician on my show forever. Your story is so fascinating that we couldn't get to what my selfish part wants to get to, has to wait until episode 2 of the Tim Donley story.
All
But
right.
if we can revisit this in 2026,
That sounds
I
perfect.
would name my second born child after you, if that's cool with you.
That I'm good with that.
Oh, all right, my friend. All right, so 67's in the books. Tim, you have been an absolutely phenomenal guest.
Thanks,
I am
pal.
so grateful to know you as a friend. I am so grateful to know you as a patriot, and everything that you are, an inspiration, an aspiration. Um, Tim, thank you. Thank you for being a part of my universe. You make me want to be a better person, and you make my pain so much more practical knowing your story arc. I love you.
I love you too, brother. Thank you. And thank you for saving one of your most complicated questions for right at the end. Well, it's a good
Yeah,
cliffhanger.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but it's like I got so wrapped up in your story that it was like all of the nonsense that I really wanted to talk about. I'm enthralled, and I hope that people watch this and are inspired by your story. You are truly the resilient.
Thank you, brother. We all are.
Thank you.
Love you, man.
All right, love you too.
Talk soon.
Phoenix family, I see you, I love you, and I hear you. We'll see you on the next Curmudgeon's Corner. All right? Have a great night, everybody.